In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Bob Sessa. Together, the two continue our coverage of the fiasco of Trump.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Hi, good morning, Stephanie. I have an announcement to make.
Yes.
I just stepped off the plane, ran back here to sit down to talk with you. Kimberly Johnson and I were just down in Mar-a-Lago meeting with Donald Trump to talk about finding common ground. And you know what?
Especially Kimberly.
I have another announcement to make. Guess what I did to Donald Trump?
What?
I stink palmed him.
Did you?
I put my hand in my butt and then
All
shook
right.
his hand.
Good for
and,
you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good boy.
You're so adult.
You know, we gotta, I mean, it's for national service. I mean, I'm trying to do my part for democracy. Just trying to make them sick.
The bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now, more than ever. And I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story.
We have got to stop thinking the mainstream media is our friend. If anything, they go to the opposite side to prove they're not liberal. You know, I mean, look at Joe and Mika on the liberal network. They think that's going to grow their lost liberal audience, is going to suck Donald Trump's. Janet Jamel tweeted this. If the media had covered Trump's plans to end entire government agencies, purge universities, deport dreamers, and fund the government with tariffs like they covered Biden's debate performance, we might not be in this mess. That, I think, in many ways, is the original sin. You know, they pounded him out of the race. And, you know, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of the aforementioned voters who may have swung toward the right this time around are probably low propensity voters who, unlike us, I mean, we stare at this stuff 24/7. I mean, we're deeply ensconced in everything that happens in politics down to a granular level. A lot of people only vote based on what they heard as they were walking by the TV in the living room for literally 5 seconds. And then a pollster calls up and says, what do you think of this issue? Oh, I just heard that thing that I overheard on the TV as just walking through the room. And that's how decisions are made.
You know, I mean, Kamala Harris didn't lose. She didn't lose on, you know, some people say trans issues. She lost on the people believed that she was doing trans surgery on illegal immigrants in prison. Yeah. That's what I mean.
A whole lot of disinformation.
Yes, yes.
I want to go back to that time, and I don't know how this is even possible with cable and internet and things not necessarily being the purview of the FCC. But remember Quiz Show, the movie Quiz Show about the rigging of the game show 21?
Yeah.
There were congressional investigations about a game show lying to its audience about how the game actually worked, how they were giving answers to contestants they wanted to elevate as being telegenic or whatever. And now we're in a period of time where anything goes as far as disinformation, lying, deceiving the public.
Yeah.
And how do you square that circle? How do you rein that in without trampling on free speech? And that's a gigantic conundrum because we face this period of time now. We have been for 20 years.
They call massive COVID disinformation that was killing literally millions of people. Oh, that's free speech, and you can't squelch that. I mean, you retweeted our friend Stephen Beschloss, who was on yesterday, and said, let's keep these facts in mind as the anti-vax onslaught accelerates. And just the number of people that died of measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, smallpox, polio before the vaccine and after.
That's right.
Spoiler alert: smallpox and polio, zero died after the vaccine. Right?
Yeah, and very little accountability as far as that mass death goes. Obviously, Donald Trump lost that election in 2020. I mean, in part because people were tired of the lackadaisical response, the negligent response to COVID, the death that was occurring, the recession that occurred. I think that was another big factor that certainly hurt Donald Trump last time around and maybe helped him this time, was the perception of the economy. So these are, I mean, we're asking all these questions.
Not the economy, the perception of the economy.
The perception of the economy.
Disinformation. That's exactly
right.
Back.
Yeah. And so this is something that we need to focus on in the future. And I sometimes wonder, is commentary, is what we do, is the function of a campaign, the persuasive function of a campaign, is that even relevant anymore? Or are people just making decisions based on how they perceive things in their everyday life, and the persuasive effort made by people like us or candidates or whoever, commercials, videos on the internet? Does that work anymore? And I'd like to think that
and let me tell you why
does.
You are the key to saving America, Bob Cesca.
That's right. That's why I've aged so much. We're all putting this on ourselves. Like, damn it, what did we do wrong? And no, I don't think it's that. But
Chris and Jody, we talk about it all the time. You are entertaining. That's the key. It's like you're funny, you're entertaining. It's not. Nobody wants to listen to just talking points on either side. So that's how I keep saying, support this cinematic universe. Everybody in it. Well,
now more than ever, you have to support independent media, because obviously corporate media has failed us time and time again. I can't stop saying this has been the worst year for the political press that I have ever witnessed. And I've been following politics and journalism for 40 years now, since the 80s. And this is
so
been
many
an
people,
abomination this year.
So many people said they can't imagine what Eric Boehlert would be thinking now.
And now corporate media is being spun off.
It is. Well, some of it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Also,
that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it is.
I heard you pitching love to me on your podcast the other day, and I love
Did
you
you pitch
back.
woo?
You pitched woo to me.
He does
I
pitch
was
woo.
pitching woo. That's right.
Verbal wed woes. How romantic. Thank you. I feel the same about you, and you lift me up too. And that's what I keep saying. Please, in honor of Kamala, lift someone up instead of beating them down, and especially because we're all having a hard time for different reasons. And thank you for. I know I called you, we texted, we've been texting, and listen,
thank you for that.
You and Kimberly, please get an omelet for me at the Omelet Bar at Mar-a-Lago later when you're down there.
Yes, we'll think of you when we're at the Prime Rib Bar later this afternoon. After water polo, we're gonna
with Donald.
Marco polio. See, that's
that meme.
Bobby Kennedy. I love you, Bob Cesca.
I love you too. We'll see you at Mar-a-Lago.